Hi, thank you again for stepping up and being willing to talk to us today. As you move forward with your life, what is it that you want to, is there anything that you can take with you from this experience that has been positive? And is there anything that you've seen that has maybe uplifted your spirit?
The surrounding, I mean, being with the families this weekend, and we had this horrible, horrific tragedy that brought us together. But talking with them about their loved ones and everyone, we lost wonderful people. And just that inspiration that there are still those wonderful people out there who care about others, who do their due diligence, who are just, you know, amazing. And that's just it. I mean, sometimes, you know, out of the ground comes roses, and that's what it is.
These are some of the toughest people I've ever met in my whole life.
Yes.
I was struck by so many families that are spread out all over the country.
Yes.
Was this the first time that you guys have gotten a sense of just what everyone's been struggling with, the suicides, the depression, all of the very difficult things we heard? Is this really the first time that you guys have gotten a sense of just how everyone's struggling?
Complete as a unit. It's been very pieces because we barely got to meet each other at that first memorial. For that first anniversary, again, it was just still very raw. And so, yeah, this really was that first time where we really got to dig down and know each other and know our family members. And so it is hard. I mean, they're all over the United States, and, you know, it's hard. You don't have that connection with someone.
You know, the last 3.5 weeks, were you guys having dinner together, just like behind the scenes?
We were a family. Let me tell you, we're a family. We're a family. We're a family. We're a family.
Can you please talk about what it was like for you guys to sit in the courtroom? I know you were constants throughout this whole court-martial when we were over there. What was it like for you to sit in there and to watch Hassan, just sort of sitting there emotionless, not putting up much of a defense? How was that for you guys?
The reason I was in that courtroom was for my dad's best friends who had to testify, for my father's workmates who had to get up there and relive what they went through that day. And I was glad I got to be there to support them.
You talked about the failings that led to this. What are those failings that you saw, ma'am?
It's when people aren't confrontational. There's an act that was passed that first year called the Whistleblower Act. And I think what happened is a lot of neglect happened. There's a lot of supervisors who didn't kick people out when they should have. And there's a lot of standards that got lapsed and weren't addressed properly.
Ms. Cahill, you were here for 3 years of legal proceedings. Did you ever, if you don't mind stepping up too, did you ever want to hear what Mr. Hassan had to say? Did you ever care to hear what he had to say?
Sometimes I did. Most of the time I didn't.
How difficult is it to sit there? I was watching all of you sitting there, day after day. How difficult was it to sit there, and especially given that he was acting as his own attorney?
I learned to compartmentalize. And I had to. And you learned that you couldn't show emotion. You had to sit on your hands. You bowed your head. You did what you had to do so that you didn't show the emotion.
Joleen, did you worry that the sentence would be written later Hassan would be wanted? Were it concerned to you about?
It was a concern of some, but I am just fine with that now because it will take a very long time for him to be executed, and it is a much stiffer punishment than life without parole.
Let me just say something really quick.
Yeah.
The best thing for that man is to be forgotten. We need your help with that. Okay?
And about your father, what are the last moments of his life tell us about his character as a father, as a husband, and as a soldier?
It's who he always was. He was never, ever afraid to stand up for those soldiers. Ever. I mean, I remember stories of, he had a soldier who was sitting, who had just come back from Iraq, and he was sitting in his chair just odd. And he couldn't figure out why. He said, "Why are you sitting like that?" And I'm sorry, I'm not as good a storyteller as my father, trust me. But, "Why are you sitting like that?" And he said, "Well, because my back hurts if I don't." And you just knew something was wrong. And he said, "This is what you're going to do, and you're going to go over and you're going to get an x-ray because this isn't right. This isn't because you're jumping off Bradleys. This isn't because you're jumping off tanks." When they got that x-ray back, he had a tumor this big in his spine. That's who my dad was. He just had that sixth sense of knowing when there was something wrong and always fighting for them. But it was walking them over to get that psychological help they needed. He made sure they got it.
How about the fact that he ran toward this person to try to save all of those other people instead of running away trying to save himself?
Again, it's just who he was.
How proud are you of that?
I've always been proud of my dad.
It's a pretty extraordinary act, though, in that moment. And you have
It
that
is, and it's not something I would ever ask of anybody else. I am so happy that those who made it out, made it out. I am happy that those who survived, survived. And they need to know that I am glad that they survived.
Had you known that he had thrown that chair?
Not right away. We did not know. For quite a while, we had some suspected some things based on people we had talked to, but we really didn't know officially until the Article 32 when that happened.
Joleen, when you saw him roll in this morning, or this afternoon, I watched you eyeing him. What were you thinking?
You had mentioned Congress and mentioned Congress and things Congress group. Have you talked to some of the wounded, and do you have anything to say about some of the issues they've raised?
One of the biggest issues, and that's what one of our statements is, it is important and it is imperative that we take care of our wounded, regardless. And I hope that that is something that we get done. And, yeah.
Do you think it should be considered an act of terrorism?
So, I hate that question because there's so many, how do you not define terrorism? I mean, I don't know. I can't answer the question. It's just too much.
Going forward,
yeah.
You talked about how y'all have gotten to know each other the last few weeks. Do you feel like you've created a bond that you're going to continue to support each other? How will you do that?
I don't know. We're all over the country. We'll figure that out.
We have cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell phones, email. I like road trips.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll conclude this for now.
Thank you.
Again, the spelling of the names.